All right, Jensen. So I really want to thank you for coming in. And you said you had something to talk about. But again, this is open forum. You bring to the table what you'd like to, and we just talk about it for as long as you'd like, within the time frame of
10 minutes.
10, 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
So again, if you want to dive on in, that's great. If not, we can get familiar with each other,
Yeah.
and just kind of build a little bit of that trust that I'm sure is going to be important for down the road.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I am an MD student at
Okay.
Colorado University.
Okay.
I'm graduating this semester.
That must be exciting.
Yeah. It's been a long road,
Okay.
but I feel God's cut me through. But there's still some emotions and pain I'm dealing with as well.
Okay.
Don't really know what's left. I mean, how to venture on from the pain I'm facing right now in terms of family.
Okay. I think before we get to that, I mean, you said something that I kind of want to touch on is you don't know what's next.
Yeah.
And that's in relation to some family stuff that's going on. But I mean, have you thought about what could be the next step? Have you seen what are your plans? Have you planned for anything?
I mean, I was thinking chaplaincy.
Okay. Good call.
Yeah, sure is. But I don't know how to help someone when I'm struggling with some issues myself.
Okay.
And it almost feels hypocritical to me when I'm trying to help people and draw them closer to God when I feel far from Him right now.
Okay. So one of those, you give great nuggets of wisdom, but you can't practice what you preach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. It
Okay.
doesn't feel real to me. It doesn't feel right that way either.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, how's that? What are you feeling in those moments that you feel this hypocrisy coming on?
I tell them everything's okay, or God's in control, and He knows what's best.
Okay.
But from what I've seen in my life, it almost feels like my life is out of control,
Really?
and it seems that it feels like is God really looking out for my best interests? Like, does He not see my pain, my suffering, when my relationships are like people are dying around me,
Mhm.
my own cousin? So.
Okay. So tell me about that. When did your cousin pass away?
She passed away 3 years ago.
Okay. I mean, is that kind of still a soft subject, or do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean,
And what was going on for you kind of at that time?
I always, we knew each other growing up, and she lived in Jersey, I lived in New York, so we didn't see each other often, but maybe once or twice a month
Okay.
growing up. But
I mean, still, that's
yeah,
pretty close. I mean, you guys
yeah,
are related in relatively close distance, and so you can spend time together.
right,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, our family is pretty close with our relatives and cousins, and so she decided to go to Oral Roberts as well for nursing.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and and during our time here, like we tried to hang out sometimes, but she was busy with her schedule. I was busy with mine, so we didn't really do as much. And I think I should have put in more effort to see her as well whenever she was available. But I just thought, it's just whatever.
Okay. So kind of what I'm hearing there is that you might be feeling a little guilt
Yeah,
in just maybe not being there for her.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like
how
it's
long have you been feeling that?
ever since she died.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's something you're still living with.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know it was this bad. Because she took her own life. And I feel like I should have been there for her, understand her, and especially as her own blood, make more of an effort.
Okay. So it sounds like it's not just, hey, this was a good person guilt. This is you may feel almost personally responsible. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, a
To
little
an
bit,
extent.
yeah.
Okay. Well, if I can, I do want you to reassure you rather, that in times of suicide, that's never been easy, especially for the person that is going through these possible episodes of depression, or there's situations around them that just keep compounding. But I want to reassure you that while you may believe that it was your fault, I would like to let you know that it was not. This is something that your cousin was battling for probably some time, and so, and I'm sure she probably wouldn't be the happiest person to hear you beating yourself up like that.
Yeah, true. Just knowing that you could have done more.
Okay.
It just pulls on you a little bit.
Okay. So I want to do something that's going to sound a little weird, but I want you to work with me for a second here. So let's get this one right here. All right. So we're gonna pretend that this empty chair. What's your cousin's name?
Michelle.
Michelle? Okay. So I want you to pretend like Michelle's sitting right here. And I want you to have a conversation with her. Just about what you're feeling right now. Just talk to her as if she was just gonna respond like she was just 3 years ago, you were coming to visit her. She was going from class to class and she had a break between classes. And you got to sit down with her. Go ahead and just have a quick conversation with her. This chair is not safe. And just talk to her for a couple minutes.
Okay.
I know, again, it seems a little weird. just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Tell her what you're feeling. Go from the heart. Don't small talk it. Like, hey, how's the weather? Nah, don't worry about that. Just talk to her.
Okay. Hey, Michelle. I wish you were actually sitting there in person right now, but I can't imagine what you've been going through. And it hurts that you're not here. I'm sorry that I wasn't really available for you and to hear you out. I love you. And I'll always cherish the moments we shared together. All the fun times we had and some of the fights we had too. But it just sucks that you're not around. And I feel partly responsible for that too, because I know as your cousin I should have done more. I'm sorry.
All right. So, instead of I don't want to go any further on that one because it seemed like you were in a really good place with that.
Mm.
Just telling her how much she meant to you.
Yeah.
And hearing that you were a student from ORU, I don't really have a question of, hey, you're a believer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd like to take a second to kind of just tell me about, since this experience, tell me a little bit, this is something you mentioned earlier, but tell me your experience with God since your cousin was no longer around.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like, especially doing an MDiv and your chaplaincy route, I expect to be a tool that God wants to use to help the brokenhearted and draw people closer to God, yeah. At the same time, I couldn't do that with my own flesh and blood, and I feel, am I even in the right calling? Am I even being used by God? If I can't even help my family, then what's the point?
Well, let me ask you a question. If you weren't presented with this type of challenge, would it have developed you any further? Would you have continued pursuing this with the passion that you had? Or would you have just kind of maybe gone about, laissez-faire, just, hey, this is obviously my calling, because it's not easy. I'm not going to say that the classes are easy or anything like that, but, there's no trial, there's no tribulation, there's no challenge to overcome. And so I want you to look at it from that perspective. What has this done to strengthen you? I want you to look at you.
Mm.
Has this opportunity given you a chance to press into God, to say, Lord, I honestly don't know what's happening. And so maybe that faith factor, maybe that initial, unknowing that we have, that humans just have, has led you to a point to humble yourself, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because you came in here, and so this is an opportunity to kind of break down that wall and take another step in the spiritual growth direction.
Yeah, I mean, I do find myself more empathetic
Okay.
with people.
Really?
More.
See? Okay.
I guess that's it.
Well, and that's, in that calling, empathy is going to be a huge thing.
Right.
Being able to understand, even if you've never personally gone through that type of pain, being able to understand that this person is in an incredible amount of pain.
Yeah.
And being able to gauge that, changing vocals, looking at them, reading body language, all forms of things are really going to help you. And now you have a point of reference. Now, I don't want to sully the loss of your cousin with a point of reference, because her life meant so much more.
Right.
But she is helping you in ways that you may not have thought about. She is still to this day right there with you. Do you know if she was a believer? I mean, again, I never want to assume.
Yeah.
But especially with ORU, I tend to believe most people are, born again believers. And I don't know about you, but my study into the Bible has not determined suicide to be the quote unquote unpardonable sin. That's a big Catholic belief, and I myself do not subscribe to that. I subscribe to there's one way that you can walk away from God, and that's blaspheming the Holy Spirit. And so I do believe that you'll be able to see your cousin again, and she's going to be watching out for you.
Yeah.
But
That's good.
But I'd love to keep going, but I think it's somebody else's turn. So is that how we want to end it, or because again, I could keep going and I could be like, all right, hey, I want to give you a homework assignment,
We can wait that for the counseling.
Yeah, okay, so we could actually do that when we're trying to counsel. Okay, all right, so
Has it been 10 minutes?
probably.